Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Thank you everyone for joining us. This is Ask the Experts for Digital Breakout 125. My name is Sharon. I'll be doing some quick housekeeping and then we will turn it over to our expert team. Some quick notes on how to engage with our experts. Please use the chat to ask your questions. Questions will appear to all attendees once they've gone through our moderation process. Please use the thumbs up signal to vote for your favorite questions. This will let our experts know that this is a question that's being asked by more than one person. Our experts will answer your question verbally and over chat. We will also be providing links and resources through chat throughout the course of the session. Please note that the session is being recorded, so you will be able to find it again later to review. Also, we ask that you help our moderators. Please do not spam the chat or post inappropriate material. Lastly, we ask that you adhere to the Microsoft Code of Conduct. It is posted in the chat and here on the screen. As a reminder, we ask that you not photograph or video this session. It is being shared on our side and you'll be able to access it there. And with that, I'll turn it over to our experts. Team, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Rakesh. I'm a program manager with the Power Automate team. So I'll be the moderator for today. I'll be monitoring the chat and letting the experts on the team answer the questions we have posted. So I'll ask the questions, and experts may request that as you're answering the questions, you do a quick intro about yourself. So the first question is about the RPA solution itself. So the question is around, do we have unattended RPA capabilities?
So Rakesh, if you want to throw it to one of us as we go along, we can,
Sure.
we can take it. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll start by answering that. So hi everybody, my name is Steven Siciliano. I am the PM Director for Power Automate. If you're joining us now, hopefully you just came from the session that Marios and I did a few minutes ago. If not, welcome. We're here talking about Power Automate Desktop. So the first question is a really good one. We didn't really talk about this much in the session, but Power Automate Desktop does absolutely support both attended and unattended scenarios. So for those of you who aren't as familiar with the distinction between the two, attended automation is when it runs inside of a user session. So a user wants to go through the scenarios that we were looking at in the demos. I want to click a button and copy data to an application. That's attended. Unattended is if the user isn't logged into the machine and they want something to run in the background automatically, possibly based on a schedule or based on some other event, such as an email coming in. And in that case, what our unattended technology will do is it will automatically create a session and then it will run the flow that you've created. So both are supported with Power Automate Desktop.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. And related to that, we have another question related to unattended. So the question is essentially, can I run multiple RPA attended and unattended boards from different machines using the same account? Ash, do you want to take this?
Ash, you're muted if you're talking.
So yes, thank you. Yes, my name is Ash. I'm a program manager on the Power Automate team. The question, Rakesh, was, can I run multiple sessions on the same machine? Is that right?
Can I run multiple bots on different machines using the same account?
Yes, absolutely. The answer is yes. In fact, you can. When you configure your connection, you specify which machine to run on using what credentials, and there you can specify, use the same credential, but just run on different machines. So that is absolutely possible, yeah.
Thank you. The next question is related to terminal capabilities. So do we have support for IBM AS400 terminal sessions, screen scraping, etc.? Marios, do you want to take this?
Sure, absolutely, Rakesh. Hi all, I'm Marios Stavropoulos. I'm the General Manager for Power Automate Clients. The answer to this is absolutely yes. You can access different green screen terminals and different other applications through Power Automate Desktop. You can use different terminal emulators and extract the data that come from these terminals, or you can also send commands and drive these applications so that you can automate any kind of applications.
Thank you, Marios. So we have another question related to logic scaling itself. So the question is around can Power Automate be used for backend processes, and can it be used for batch data processing that involves very high volumes of processing, high volumes of data processing? Stephen, do you want to take that?
Certainly. So Power Automate can absolutely be used for a wide variety of scenarios. However, if your specific goal is to do high volume data transfers or data loads, there's actually a technology we have in the Power Platform, so it comes with your Power Automate licenses, called data flows. And what data flows allow you to do is to do large batch loads of data from one system to another. And it has a different set of capabilities than Power Automate, automated flows or UI flows that are really optimized for data load. So that would be our recommendation for that particular scenario.
Thank you. So the next question is on, can I create a flow to send email to the list of names on an Excel file?
Sure, I could jump in and answer this one. Definitely, you have actions both for extracting data or for manipulating Excel file in general. And of course, you can also send emails through different methods. You can either talk directly to an SMTP server or to an Exchange server, or use Outlook as a proxy to send your emails. So you can definitely automate this scenario.
Okay, great. So the next question related to PowerShell. So what's the best way to run scheduled PowerShell scripts using Power Automate?
For this one, you could schedule the execution of your flow through the Power Automate portal. And then you could use either the dedicated action or an action that issues a command through the command line. That what it does is that it launches a PowerShell script through an external session.
Great. So next question related to credentials. So any insights on when Azure Key Vault will be supported to secure passwords? Azure LAN, do you want to take this?
Sure thing, yeah. So this is, thanks for the question. Azure Key Vault is supported by Power Automate, the cloud-based offering today. For Power Automate Desktop, this is something we look forward to releasing in a few weeks from now. So, and what that would mean is that you can fetch the credentials from the Key Vault directly in your flow and then pass them down to your automation that runs on your custom environment, in your custom virtual or physical machine. And that pipeline will be able to support the credentials that you're passing down. So a few weeks from now.
Thank you. Next one is related to web automation. So the question is essentially, will the new RP experience allow you to record from Edge or Chrome, or and do we still need to use Selenium for this?
Yeah, this is with Power Automate Desktop includes a separate web automation stack, so it's totally separate and independent from Selenium. So it has a unified approach for automating both desktop and web applications. So it's similar doing either the one or the other. We consider it much more simple to use than Selenium, and similarly reliable and strong and rich on features.
Great, thank you. There's a number of questions related to pricing and licensing. So, Stephen, if you could give a high-level overview of how the overall licensing and structure is for Power Automate and RPA, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So Power Automate has two different plans. One is a plan that doesn't come with RPA. So that's a $15 plan for each user. And the plan that's relevant for Power Automate Desktop is a $40 plan. So we call that, Power Automate per user with attended RPA. As you can tell, Microsoft loves to have very short and concise names for its plans. But the idea is that you have to just understand how many different users are going to be, running automation on their desktops, and then they can use that $40 plan to be able to run it. We do have a free trial as well. If you want to get started inside your organization and you don't want to pay the $40, you're welcome to start our free trial. The one other level of complexity that we have is there is also a license for unattended. We talked about that a few minutes ago. So for each unattended, virtual machine session or physical session that you have, you do need another license for that. So it basically scales by the amount of load that you're doing inside of Power Automate.
Great, thank you. So there is a question on, can Power Automate be used to open an Excel file and refresh all the Power queries on a schedule?
I'm happy to take that. So Power Automate can really do anything in Excel that you can do directly, which means that if there's a way to open up Excel and click the button to refresh Power Query, then you can do that exact same thing from Power Automate. So the answer to this is yes, and it's really just any scheduled task, in fact, that you want to run on a regular basis. You can do that. For certain actions, there is APIs for Excel. So if you store your Excel file in the cloud, there's actually APIs to do that. And in fact, what you can do with Excel files in the cloud is you can also, in fact, run any script, any Office script, like VB scripts in your Excel file. So that's an additional capability that we have. But I don't know if that specifically, refresh Power Query is something that's supported for those cloud files. So if it isn't, then you can just use Power Automate Desktop to automate that.
Great, thank you. So the next question is from Sam. So the question is around, do we have any plans for releasing on other operating systems like Mac OS or Linux?
Yeah, so I can take that too. So the short answer is no. We don't have any plans for supporting anything outside of Windows at this time. We do support different editions of Windows, so Windows Server, Windows 10. But at this time, we are focused on just creating a really good experience for Windows, and we don't have any plans for Mac or iOS or Android.
Right. The next one is related to Outlook. So the question is, when will we be able to get Outlook meeting details like end of meeting to trigger a specific task?
Currently, take this one. Currently, this is not available through a dedicated actions. You certainly can automate this task by driving the user interface of Outlook. However, the more actions are coming, and with the next editions, we will have more functionality. And of course, Outlook is on the top of our list.
Okay, thank you. So Michael has a question on, will RPA be available for Microsoft partners who acquired Action Pack? Do any of the experts know here what Action Pack refers to? If not, we'll be happy to take it offline and follow up separately.
No, unfortunately,
No.
not as happy to follow up.
Yeah, thank you. So the next question from from Luke. How can I use Power Automate to not only send email attachments from Outlook to my OneDrive, but then replace the attachment with a link to the OneDrive file?
Yes, I would like to take this one. You can automate any process that you would do manually. And this is actually the idea and the essence of RPA. So you can drive any process through the user interface, be it a desktop application like Outlook or a web application. So you can either go through this way, or you can use the dedicated Outlook actions to extract the attachments, and then do whatever you need to do and replace them with the shortcuts that you have extracted from OneDrive. But the idea is that you can do everything you would do manually by imitating the keystrokes and mouse clicks that you would do otherwise manually.
Thank you, Marius. So there's a follow-up question to the pricing discussion. So we have a few Power Apps P1 plan. Does it mean that we'll need to purchase Power Automate separately?
Yeah, I'll take that too. So the answer to that is yes. Power Apps and Power Automate are two separate systems. So you do need a separate plan if you have Power Apps P1.
Thank you. When will Power Automate Desktop be available in GCC High tenant?
So we will be available at general availability or shortly thereafter in all of the clouds. Now, of course, that then raises the question, when is general availability? So we don't have a public date for that, but it will be. We work in Power Automate on these ideas of waves. So basically every 6 months is a wave. So for what we call the 2020 Wave 2, which is between October and March, we will be GA in that wave. So that's by that time we will be available in GCC and GCC High.
Okay. So the next question is around the need for a gateway. Do we need gateways to connect to UI flows? Ash or Lang, you want to take that?
Sure. Yes. Yes, that's right. Gateway is, for those not familiar, gateway is a technology that allows the Power Platform to connect to on-premises resources. This could be databases, applications, machines, and that is true for executing from the cloud, directly connecting to your on-premises resources. You do need the gateway configured so that there is a secure link from the service down to your machine.
Thank you. Can Power Automate, the next question around Outlook, again, another one on Outlook, can Power Automate create Outlook tasks based on tasks in OneNote?
So I'm not quite, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Again, the answer could be the same. The idea behind RPA is that you can automate any task you are doing manually. Yes, you can certainly mimic this task and have Power Automate Desktop doing exactly the same way that a human user would do. Of course, there are some shortcuts, so some features of Outlook or other applications can be deployed directly through the API or through dedicated actions. But for all other cases, you can simply interact with the UI, like sending keystrokes and mouse clicks, only much more targeted, of course, and in a much more elaborated way. So that, yes, you can replicate any task that you would like to automate.
Right, great. So there is so many of the questions, we have more questions than we could possibly get to in the next 10 minutes. So many of the questions are getting answered in the live Q&A. So I'll take a question that has not been currently answered. So it's a question from Matthew related to approval. So Power Automate currently times out any flows that run longer than 30 days. Approvals, for example, can take more than 30 days. So the current workaround requires licensing for CDS. Is there anything on the roadmap to extend the runtime for flows without requiring purchasing of new licenses for CDS?
We don't have a specific timeline for this, but this is something that we are working on specifically to enable these types of long-running approval scenarios. So that is something that we do plan to do at some point, but unfortunately, we don't have a specific timeline for now.
Great. So then the next question is around, from Sal. So can I create a form using Power Apps that users fill out and update data in JDE tables?
Not quite sure I understood that last part.
Yeah, we can probably follow up separately with Sal on that. I'm taking a note.
Yeah. Cool. But the long story short, you absolutely can create a form in Power Apps that triggers an automation that runs in Power Automate Desktop that could then go and update data, in any system. So that is an interesting integration between Power Apps and Power Automate Desktop. You can do that.
Okay. And there is a question from Uday on any recommendation for sites with CAPTCHA?
No. So the point of a CAPTCHA is that there is specifically a human involved. So if you're trying to bypass a CAPTCHA with RPA, chances are you're going to be violating the terms of service of whatever application that you're working with. So oftentimes, I would say a service which is modern enough to have a CAPTCHA is also going to have some sort of API that you can integrate with, assuming that they want their data to be accessible. So in that case, you should be able to use API automation, and that's an important distinction is where possible, using API automation will be more reliable and more resilient than using UI-based automation. So that would be our recommendation for those types of scenarios. But yes, if a company explicitly has put a CAPTCHA in place, does not want robots accessing the data, and has not provided an API, we do not recommend using Power Automate for that.
Okay, thank you. There's actually a question from Nina, a topic which we haven't talked about yet. So from an audit perspective, is everything logged, or how are everything logged? Actions taken, results, who did what, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Stephen, yeah.
Go ahead, Ash.
Quick answers, yes. For all execution, whether they're successful or failed, the inputs and outputs for all of those actions for each of those actions in those automations are logged centrally as part of the Power Automate service. In the case that there's failure, a lot of times the failure is, especially with UI automation, it can depend on the state of your machine. So sometimes there could be a dialog that's preventing you from clicking your application, or it's not in the right state. So in the case of failure, that's also available. We take a screenshot and make that available as part of the logs as well. But yes, all the operations that you're doing, all the executions are absolutely available in Power Automate service.
Thank you. And there are a couple of other questions on credentials management and CyberArk. So it'll be Ash or Marius, it'll be worth calling out our high-level approach on how we enable customers to use securely bring in credentials for automations.
Sure, I can take that. So we are, in addition to, we already discussed the Azure Key Vault as part of the the previous question. That if you had credentials stored in Key Vault, you can absolutely you can use that in your flow automation today already, and in a few weeks you should be able to pass them down directly into Power Automate desktop scripts as well. Now, in addition to that, the WinAutomation had capabilities of integrating with some third-party credential providers like CyberArk, and we're looking forward to bringing that into Power Automate desktop as well. If there are other credential systems, I know there was a question around other third-party credential management systems. Please do let us know on the chat. We're eager to partner with others as well to just make sure it's simple and straightforward to plug automation into your enterprise. So I look forward to getting the exact list of these on the chat as well.
Yeah, and there's another question on Steam connector, whether should we use the desktop app to run the process instead, or do we have a connector for Stream?
Yeah, we unfortunately we don't have any connector to Microsoft Stream right now. That is something that I think we've at least had a brief conversation with the Stream organization about that. But yes, there's no plans at the moment for working with Stream. So that is, of course, the big advantage of Power Automate Desktop is you can use it to connect to anything, even if there's no connector. Stream, I don't know if their API is public, but if it is, you could also use a custom connector to integrate with Stream.
Great, thank you. So, and there's another question. It's Lan has actually answered, so but it'll be worth capturing. So there's a question by Yavi on, will there be a limit to how many times an account can be used to run an unattended RPA? But I think this has come up a few times, so it'll be worth repeating. Ash,
yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead, Ash.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was answering another question. Stephen, if you know what the question is, can you take this one?
Yes. So the question is, what does it take to connect to, or how many machines can you connect with unattended RPA? The answer is you actually need a unattended add-on for each machine that you want to connect to. So if you purchase the $40 license, that allows you to run it attended, which means when you're physically there, you as a user, you can run that, and you can do that on multiple machines if you want. But once you're running unattended in the background, at that point, you do need the add-on, and you need the add-on for each machine. So if you are running something simultaneously across 10 different machines, and you do need the add-on 10 times.
Great, thank you. Just going through the unanswered questions. We have only 2 minutes remaining, so to make sure that the unanswered questions get tackled first. So there is a question around version control and source control. Mm-hmm. Do we have that capability?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the answer to that is yes. You can actually integrate with whatever your favorite source control system is. We would recommend something like GitHub, obviously, because that's a Microsoft company. But you can use whatever system you like. And what we do is we have a set of tooling that you can use to automatically import or export from source control. So you can use source control as your source of truth, so to speak. And then use the Power Platform tools to import and export solutions from source control into your respective environments.
Okay. The next question is around if a user is logged into a Power App which executes a Power Automate flow, can the credentials be passed to Power Automate and Power Automate Desktop?
So when you call a flow from a Power App, it does use the connections of the user. So you can, it isn't actually passing in the credentials per se, but what it's passing in is the user context. So as long as the user has set up a connection to whatever that data source is, they can use it. Now, Power Automate Desktop, for that, you do need to use some of the technologies that we talked about, such as Key Vault, to get the passwords down to the machine. So Power Automate Desktop is a little different from the Power Automate service in that respect.
Great. So we have only 1 minute remaining. So Sharon, do you want to highlight the? So there are more questions than we could get to today. So there's a link that's posted here. It's aka.ms/DB125. So if you could complete the form there, we'll make sure that all the any unanswered question will be handled. With that, any final thoughts, Stephen or Marios?
No, it's really exciting seeing all the questions and the interest. So thanks so much for spending time with us today.
And thank you. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Mario, sorry.
No, I mean, we are looking forward for everybody to download the Power Automate desktop and experiment with this. And we are looking forward to see all the automation that we'll build with this tool.